Morning everyone, this is part 3 of Roald Dahl's The Magic Finger. So out the window they flew, far up into the sky, and it did not take them long to catch up with Philip and William. Soon the whole family was flying around together. "Oh, isn't it lovely?" cried William. "I've always wanted to know what it feels like to be a bird." "Your wings are not getting tired, are they, dear, Mr. Gregg?" asked Mrs. Gregg. "No, not at all," Mr. Gregg said. "I could go on forever." "Hey, look down there," said Philip. "Somebody is walking in our garden." So they all looked down, and there below, in their own garden, they saw 4 enormous wild ducks. The ducks were as big as men, and what is more, they had great long arms, like men, instead of wings. The ducks were walking in a line to the door of the Greggs' house, swinging their arms and holding their beaks high in the air. "Stop!" called the tiny Mr. Gregg, flying down low over their heads. "Go away, that's my house." The ducks looked up and quacked. The first one put out a hand and opened the door of the house and went in. The others went in after him. The door shut. The Greggs flew down, and they sat on the wall near the door. Mrs. Gregg began to cry. Oh dear, she sobbed. "They have taken our house. What shall we do? We have no place to go." Even the boys began to cry a bit now. "We will be eaten by cats and foxes in the night," said Philip. "I want to sleep in my own bed," said William. "Now then," said Mr. Gregg, "it isn't any good crying. That won't help us. Shall I tell you what we are going to do?" "What?" they said. Mr. Gregg looked at them and smiled. "We're going to build a nest." "A nest," they said. "Can we do that?" "We must do it," said Mr. Gregg. "We've got to have somewhere to sleep. Follow me." They flew off to a tall tree, and right at the top of it Mr. Gregg chose the place for the nest. "Now, we want sticks," he said. "Lots and lots of little sticks. Off you go, all of you, and find them and bring them back here." "But we have no hands," said Philip. "Then use your mouths." Mrs. Gregg and the children flew off. Soon they were back, carrying sticks in their mouths. Mr. Gregg took the sticks and started to build a nest. "More," he said. "I want more and more and more sticks. Keep going." The nest began to grow. Mr. Gregg was very good at making the sticks stick together. After a while he said, "That's enough sticks. Now I want leaves and feathers and things like that to make the inside nice and soft." The building of the nest went on and on. It took a long time, but at last it was finished. "Try it," said Mr. Gregg, hopping back. He was very pleased with his work. "Oh, isn't it lovely?" cried Mrs. Gregg, going into it and sitting down. "I feel I might lay an egg any moment." The others all got in beside her. "How warm it is," said William. "And what fun to be living so high," said Philip. "We may be small, but nobody can hurt us up here." "But what about food?" said Mrs. Gregg. "We haven't eaten a thing all day." "That's right," Mr. Gregg said. "So we will now fly back to the house and go in by an open window and get at the tin of biscuits when the ducks aren't looking." "Oh, we will be pecked to bits by those dirty great ducks," cried Mrs. Gregg. "We will be very careful, my love," said Mr. Gregg, and off they went. But when they got to the house, they found all the windows and doors closed. There was no way in. "Just look at that beastly duck cooking at my stove," cried Mrs. Gregg, as she flew past the kitchen window. "How dare she?" "And look at that one holding my lovely gun," shouted Mr. Gregg. "One of them is lying in my bed," yelled William, looking into the top window. "And one of them is playing with my electric train," cried Philip. Oh dear, said Mrs. Gregg. "They have taken over our whole house. We shall never get it back. And what are we going to eat?" "I will not eat worms," said Philip. "I would rather die." "Or slugs," said William. Mrs. Gregg took the two boys under her wing and hugged them. "Don't worry," she said. "I can mince it all up very fine, and you won't even know the difference. Lovely slug burgers, delicious worm burgers." "Oh no," cried William. "Never," said Philip. "Disgusting," said Mr. Gregg. "Just because we have wings, we don't need to eat bird food. We shall eat apples instead. Our trees are full of them. Come on." So they flew